This is a new room they have. Why don't we go live and start the recording? All right, we're ready to continue our record, the matter of People versus Ethan Nicholas Dingman. Mr. Dingman, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, why don't you go ahead and take your mask off so you can be more comfortable and we can see you. The parties that were here yesterday essentially are here again today. Ms. Amy Shepard from the Kalamazoo County Prosecutor's Office, Special Prosecutor, is here. Mr. William Weesey, attorney for the defendant, is here. Chief Mark Brinkert, the officer in charge of the case, is present. Family members of Mr. Swartz are present, and the defendant's mother is present on the live feed. Anyway, this is the time, as the court announced, that it would rule on the prosecutor's motion to bind the matter over to circuit court. Before I do that, Ms. Shepard, I'd like to have an opportunity to view the exhibits again. I've got the forensic reports, I've reviewed them, but I just had a fleeting glance at each of the exhibits, and I didn't have a copy or a thumb drive or a picture, so could I see them once again? Could you screen share them? Through.
Of the photographs?
Yes.
Oops, share. Sorry, I'm having less success than I did yesterday.
Well, I didn't give you any warnings, so. But normally after the prelim, I would have the
photos
pictures.
to look. Yes.
So this is, I think, number 3.
Yes.
Yes, 3. All right. Okay. All right, that's the banana. Those are the top of the shoes. All right, next. Bottom of the shoes. Next. Bottom of the right shoe, which is number 7. Okay. Pair of eyeglasses, which is exhibit number 8. Closer view of the eyeglasses. Exhibit 9. A picture of what looks to be like a pair of sweatpants. Exhibit 10. Okay. Exhibit 11, which appears to be a gray flannel lined shirt, or green and green, I guess. That's exhibit number 11.
And then I should have started with exhibit 2. It's just saved as a PDF, and so that's why it didn't open. So I think.
Well, you also showed me a picture of Mr. Swartz wearing a pair of glasses.
Yes, so that's the one I'm opening right now. That's People's Exhibit 2.
Could you show me his head again?
Mr. Schwartz's head?
Mr. Schwartz, yes. Okay. Now can I see 5 and 6, the picture of the glasses?
Yes. Of the glasses or of 5 and 6?
The glasses. I may have my numbers wrong. Maybe it's 6 and 7. Okay. Back to 2, if you could.
Yep.
All right, thank you. We heard testimony yesterday from several witnesses. Chief Brinkert, Trooper Burgoyes, the pathologist, Ms. DeYoung, Deputy Hughes, and Deputy Herman, and I think that was it. And then we heard argument, and the court had a number of questions and concerns, and still does. The plaintiff, in this case the prosecution, has the right to present as much evidence as they wish at a preliminary examination. It is a hearing only where there's a determination of probable cause. I mentioned that to you yesterday, Mr. Dingman. And I kept hoping there was more. When we got there, there was no there. Ms. Shepherd, at this late hour, I would grant you a week if there's any additional evidence you wish to produce at this preliminary examination. Is there anything else you'd wish the court to consider before I make my ruling?
I know that Your Honor indicated there were some questions in regards to the meaning of some of the statements in the DNA lab reports, and so the people would be prepared to produce the experts in those areas to further explain what that is, and so we would take that week in order to do that, and then also if there's any other evidence that we could add to what we have presented already, we could do that.
Well, I'm not going to tell you what to present. The reports seem to indicate to me there were other sources of DNA. The defense didn't argue this, so I wasn't sure I was understanding it correctly. But the report says, Exhibit 14, on page 5, the second one, Ethan Dingman Let's look at this. You have to index the numbers. Ethan Dingman is excluded as the first one, as a possible contributor to the DNA on the shoe swab. Okay, that doesn't tell us much. Second one, 13E, shoe swab. Based on the DNA typing results obtained from the shoe swab, it is likely that it originated from Todd Schwartz and one unrelated or unknown contributor. So one of the samples appears to be Todd Schwartz blood or DNA, and the other one we don't know who it is. The pants at the bottom, 10A, hypothesis, Ethan Dingman and two unknown contributors, or three unknown contributors. Interpretation, based on the DNA typing results obtained from the pant swab, it is more likely that it originated from Ethan Dingman and two unrelated unknown contributors. So there are two other sources of DNA on his pants, his and two unknowns. So then we go further. Todd Schwartz and two unrelated unknown contributors. Based on the DNA typing results, it is 92 septillion times more likely it originated from Todd Schwartz and two unrelated unknown contributors. So there's another source of DNA on the pants. One solid piece of evidence seems to be the lenses. Based on the DNA typing results, it is 150 octillion times more likely it originated from Todd Schwartz. So the blood on the glasses was from Todd Schwartz. Then the earpieces, they didn't find anything. Then the shirt, and I'm a little concerned. The lab report, Exhibit 13, indicates 71428 is a shirt. 71429 is a sweatshirt. Deputy Hughes didn't testify that he seized a sweatshirt. So I'm assuming the shirt we're talking about is the green plaid shirt from the picture. But the lab report indicates a sweatshirt. I have no idea where it's from. The testimony of Officer Hughes didn't include a sweatshirt. All right, so we go back to this. Ethan Dingman and two unrelated unknown contributors. Based on the DNA typing results from the shirt swab, it is more likely it originated from Ethan Dingman and two unrelated unknown contributors. So Ethan Dingman's DNA is on Ethan Dingman's shirt. Then we go to the next one. Todd Schwartz and two unrelated unknown contributors. Based on DNA typing results obtained from the shirt swab, it is likely it originated from Todd Schwartz and two unrelated unknown contributors. One of them is Ethan Dingman. We don't know who the third source of DNA on the shirt is. And then none of these were entered into CODIS. DNA profiles were not entered into the Combined DNA Index CODIS, and that stands for Combined DNA Index System, kept by the FBI and the state police and most other states. So my reading of those laboratory reports is we have some unknown sources of DNA on the shoes, on the pants, and on the shirt. I don't know if I'm interpreting that incorrectly. but that's what it looks like to me. So are you asking to take me up on the offer to present the laboratory witness?
Yes, I will take you up on that offer, Your Honor.
All right. Any other evidence you wish to produce?
At this point, not that I can think of. If that changes, I would reach out to Mr. to see if there would be a stipulation in regards to that prior to us returning to court.
All right. I am concerned because Mr. Dingman's been in custody for 588 days. And it does not appear to me that you have enough evidence to bind this matter over to circuit court. And I'm going to leave him in custody pending further evidence. And so I don't want to do it very long. I spent several hours last night and 5 hours or 6 hours this morning going over this in minute detail. And my fear is, as I said, there's no there. One week to next Tuesday, June 8th at 1 o'clock. May have to clear the decks and have Judge Pattison handle some of the other things. Had that stood out to anyone else? Am I reading into this more than is there?
I'm sorry, Your Honor, can you repeat the question?
Well, I guess I'll just leave it. I'll wait for the witness to come and tell me if I'm on the right track or not. But the way I read the reports, there's some unidentified DNA evidence on several of the exhibits.
And I believe, we would be able to reopen argument at that time. But again, we're looking at Mr. Dingman's clothing. It's not Mr. Schwartz's clothing that this is the question about, which I think would be something for us to revisit when we, after we hear from these witnesses from the crime lab.
All right. I'm aware of that. But if the allegation is this is transferred evidence from the scene, you're right, it could be anybody's DNA on the defendant's clothing. So if your argument is it isn't relevant, but I guess we'd at least like to know the answer to it. I'm not sure it's gonna swing it, but I'll just leave it at that. I have given you the opportunity to present any additional evidence. If you've got some smoking gun that's in the background, I'm certainly willing to hear about it. But all right, we'll continue this to June 8th at 1 p.m.
Your Honor,
Yes?
begging the court's indulgence, where are you, if anywhere, pertaining to your analysis of custodial interrogation?
My sense of it is, once he was placed in the back seat of Officer Brinkert's car, he was in custody. He was put in Officer Brinkert's car. He was put in the back of Deputy Bingaman's car. He was locked in both times. He was put in the back seat of the car and driven to the jail in Centerville. He certainly was arguably in custody at the time he was at Centerville. But frankly, nothing that incriminating. Was introduced. It was said sort of as an aside by Officer Males, Detective Males, I left him out, that the defendant changed his story 4 times. And apparently the prosecutor was there watching it. The defendant was a paranoid schizophrenic and struggling, and nowhere was he ever advised of his Miranda rights. And so, taking the totality of the circumstance, I was ready to speak to this further, but the early statements to Officer Brinkert are admissible, and then the line becomes grayer and grayer until it's a black line, after which point he was clearly in custody. They interviewed him for 3 hours, from 9:30 to 1:30, and then they advised him of his Miranda rights. While the prosecutor was there watching. Anyway, most of what in fact, I would submit everything he said to Officer Males is inadmissible. Much of what the early stuff that he said to Officer Brinkert is admissible. But there's not that much, there's no terribly damning evidence any more than what he said to Officer Brinkert. I'll save that for later, but that's where I'm leaning at this point, unless I can be convinced otherwise. As I said, I spent 3 hours last night and 6 hours this morning preparing for this, so it's like I let all the air out of my balloon, but I thought I would give you an opportunity to present any additional evidence. Mr. Dingman, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right, we're going to continue this for 1 week until next Tuesday at 1 o'clock. It will be by Zoom like this once again, and everybody that's here will be welcome to return. We'll take some testimony, perhaps further argument, and perhaps my interpretation is exactly correct, that there is an unknown potential donor, but that it doesn't matter because it's on your clothes. And on the clothing, it doesn't bother me so much. On the shoes, perhaps it does. So, all right, that's what we got. We'll just have to think about this over the weekend and reconvene next Tuesday at 1 o'clock.
Will we receive new notices, or should we just rely on the notices from yesterday?
We'll do new notices.
Thank you.
See you guys next Tuesday. Thank you all very much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.